Hello and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We have a packed show for you today. We are reviewing another potential Oscar contender in Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. We have a mystery game from our Gamemaster Kirk. And we have What's Poppin', as always, to get you all caught up. And we are going to wrap up the show with our Schoolyard Pick of films that are based on a true story. Let's get right into it. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. With me, as always, and wearing a plush, luxurious men's robe, your co-host, Kirk.
Hello.
Wow, and you came in super hot there. That was loud.
I just want to let people know I'm here,
Yeah,
Tim.
announce your presence. I get it. You're kind of like, you're really going for it today, so I appreciate it. What's the story behind the robe? Let's just get that out of the way.
Oh, please. I'm so glad you asked. You see, my basement is approximately 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sure, yeah, especially now.
Yes. And I asked my wife, I said, Aubrey, can I? Oh, look at my lovely hair. I asked my wife, I said, can we get a space heater? And she's like, space heaters kind of freak me out. What if you fall asleep down there like you've done before?
You're dead.
And you catch your house on fire.
You're dead. That's the news on space heaters. You fall asleep next to them, you're gone.
That's the end. So she said, you know what we can start with? I said, what? She said, well, I'm going to buy you a robe. I'm like, a robe? She's like, yeah. She's like, you got me a robe for Christmas, and it's really warm, and I think you should try it. So I'm trying it out. Night one. It just got here about 5 hours ago.
Wow. Well, what are the early returns? Good?
Well, for those of you watching the video of this podcast.
Yeah, fashion show. Let's go. Ooh,
it's very warm actually, and while the money spender in me would like to just like buy a space heater to have and brag about like buy a space heater, you should be warm. I'm actually very warm right now in this robe. It's regulating my temperature very well, and she was right.
Yeah, she's basically Ebenezer Scrooge, though, is what I'm hearing here. It's like no extra logs for the fire. No space heater, like get yourself a robe and we'll give that a spin.
See, that's why we work so well together, because I will spend all the money. And
yeah, sure.
Aubrey will restrict my money flow, and for the better, because this was maybe $20 and a space heater is like $70. So
hey, there you go. There you go. In my relationship with my wife, we are both the spender. And that leads to some real cash flow issues in this household. Though I will say I'm a rationalizing spender. I can talk myself into any purchase. I can talk other people into many purchases. I'm pretty good at it. I feel like I could make a career out of it if there's... Maybe I should be like a used car salesman or something like that. I don't know. I feel like I could do something with that. My wife is what I would call a guilty spender. She will make herself feel incredibly guilty about it before and after the purchase, but she still wants to buy things. So it's an interesting thing.
That's fantastic. I love it.
It's something else. I'm Cam, by the way. I'm the other co-host on this show. We got so absorbed literally in Kirk's robe that I had to just take a moment there. So if this is your first time listening to our podcast, I am so sorry. But also welcome. It's good to have you. We've got a good show today. We do movie reviews on this podcast, more specifically spoiler-free movie reviews. And we are right in the thick of awards season. So I mentioned at the outset that the movie that we have this week is yet another award contender. It's called Judas and the Black Messiah, directed by Shaka King, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. So it's one we've been looking forward to a long time. You can watch it on HBO Max or in your local theater if it's open and safe to go. We've got a game. I don't even know what this game is, Kirk, but I like it that way. I like to have a mystery game.
Yes. Yeah, I think you'll be very happily surprised by this mystery game coming in.
Good stuff. And then, of course, we'll do movie news. We've got some interesting stories this week. I'm interested to dive into it. We've got some new trailers we want to react to. We've got, of course, we've got Marvel news. We've got a little bit of Star Wars news. Lots going on. And then we will wrap up the show. See, this was actually, I feel like sort of the theme of this year in films is based on a true story films. There's so many of them this year. Like, it's a popular genre of film. I mean, not that it's a genre within itself, but it is a popular type of film to base things off of history. And there are so many this year. You know, you've got Mank, you've got One Night in Miami, you've got Trial of the Chicago 7, you got Judas and the Black Messiah, Defy Blood, like so many different ones.
Yes.
So it's a good time to do that. And I think that it's possible, I won't say probable, but it is possible that maybe one of the films from this year could make it into the list. We'll see. So we've got a great show. Let's dive right in. We're going to go straight into what's poppin', so we have time for our game. And like I said, we've got some stuff to chat about. All right. First things first. I said we had some trailer reactions. There was one massive trailer that dropped on Sunday, Valentine's Day, actually. And it was the full-length trailer for Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, the Snyder Cut, which is coming to HBO Max on, I lost the date, March 18th.
That's right. Okay,
March 18th. And we got a first full-length trailer featuring many things, including Superman's black suit, featuring the Joker, who, in a very meta sense, uttered the words, "We live in a society," which, of course, is like, Kirk, do you know about the "We live in a society" significance?
I don't think I do.
So there was a meme going around about the Joker for a long time that was like, it was just the Joker, and it said, "We live in a society," and it was just like, it's a very like, I don't know, it's one of those very like absurdist memes that like you can use, but it's like basically used to, I don't know, like jeer somebody for doing something that is like, or something messed up that's going on in the world. It's just like, we live in a society, because the Joker's always talking about things like that.
True.
So people on Twitter lost their minds when Jared Leto uttered the words, "We live in a society." I mean, there was more to the line, but he started his line with that. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was really well played. But let's talk about the Snyder Cut trailer, because this, I feel like, was the first really good look we got at this movie. I feel like the one that we got during DC Fandom with black and white and playing some cover of Hallelujah in the background, like that is not at all like what I would consider a good trailer for this movie. But what did you think of this one, Kirk?
I would say, against everything inside of me, that this was a pretty legitimate trailer.
It's a good trailer, right?
It's a good trailer. I often think, what movie is it? Is it The Holiday, where Jack Black is a trailer artist? Like that's his job. I imagine Jack Black sitting at his desk in LA and just like twisting things and turning knobs and saying, "This summer, this March 18th," over and over to make this thing good, even though it's garbage. He even says that in that movie, I believe. He's like, "I got to make this look good because it's pure trash," something like that. And I just think that bravo to the trailer master. I hope that person is the same editor in the Snyder Cut.
I mean, we'll see.
Zack Snyder.
I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it looked really good. I thought it was well crafted. It piqued my interest. I thought the effects looked toned back for Zack Snyder. I thought that it looked like we have lots of different set textures and scene textures and lots going on. I would say that's my one red flag about this trailer, is just like, it's the same with every DC movie, right? Like, how do you fit all of this stuff in a way that makes sense? I think that was always the question with the Avengers movies for Marvel. We were always like, oh my gosh, how are they going to do this? But they did so in a really deliberate way and chunked it up and made things simple. DC has been overly ambitious on a few films, and their films end up falling short because of that. So I do worry about that. We get the longer runtime at 4 hours, so I mean, if if they need time to help explain why all these things make sense, then they'll have it. But yeah, I would say I'm pleasantly surprised, and frankly, kind of looking forward to it now. Here's a question for you, Kirk.
Yes.
The Snyder Cut. Let's say the Snyder Cut is great, right? Like objectively awesome. Okay. Where does that put us with the DCEU? Because right now, it doesn't have much of a leg to stand on. I think the first Wonder Woman movie is good. I think Shazam is good. I think both of those movies are just good and not spectacular. But, Batman versus Superman is a mess. Suicide Squad is a mess. Birds of Prey, not very good. You know what I mean? Like, we've got a few of these movies where, if we get a good Snyder Cut movie, where does that leave us?
That's where we restart. We restart at the Snyder Cut.
Okay.
Just like that.
Yeah. That could work.
Yeah, I think it's every moment that DC attempts to put something on screen, I see it as a chance at redemption. I think they see it too. I think they're just like, maybe this will work. I don't know. And the moment that they strike gold, I really think that's going to be the moment. So whether it's this movie, whether it's 6 movies from now, at some point, that's going to be their reset button when they get the formula right. And then they're going to say, just do that over and over and over again.
Let's just hitch our wagons to that. This will be the beginning of our new universe, and then we'll go. Yeah. I think what's hard about it is this. The Ray Fisher thing is a mess. He got in a big fight with DC. It's all he said, she said. I'm rarely going to side with studio executives in that battle, so I'll take his word for it.
Yep.
It's ugly. There was supposed to be a standalone Cyborg movie. There was supposed to be Cyborg in the Flash movie. That's all gone. He's out. They wrote him out. He's fired, basically. So this is Cyborg's last show. Ben Affleck's done. He's not coming back, except for, I guess, in the Flash movie as like a guest appearance. But he's Ben Affleck's done as Batman. So it really does make me wonder, like, so if this is good, what does that mean? Because Zack Snyder said he's not doing any more DC movies either. So it's like, it's just a mess. I keep trying to find a way for them to be like, okay, if we could just build off of it. I was like, man, if the Flash could just be good, or if the Suicide Squad could just be good. But it's like, it's all right now anchored to things that are bad and like really, really bad. So I want them to find a way to dig their way out, but I just don't know what that way is. But I think regardless, if the Snyder Cut is good, that is a good thing. It's a good thing for DC fans. It's a good thing for everybody, and that they should find some creative way to build off of that.
At 4 hours, it better be
it better
amazing.
Be good. Or I'm shutting it off. Honestly, I don't have that kind of time to sink into this. It needs to be really good.
I think we should set up a time-lapse camera. You and I watch it together, and we just play it, and we just record ourselves. So hopefully we'll be jumping up and down and not passing out in each other's arms. I don't know which one would be better.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I like that idea, though. I really do. Okay, next news story. This is the Star Wars news I was talking about. It's been a little while since we got, like, good new Star Wars news outside of, obviously, like Disney Investor Day. They went ham and introduced a whole bunch of different stuff. But we've had this exact conversation on this podcast recently, actually. Is the Rian Johnson Star Wars trilogy still a thing? The answer, after a long, long wait, is yes.
Yes.
He had an interview with an author named Soraya Wilson, who writes about the entertainment industry, and she's sort of doing some deep dives into Star Wars, where Rian Johnson was able to confirm himself that his Star Wars trilogy is still happening. There's no dates, there's no production times, but it is a go. And this is a trilogy that will not touch the Skywalker timeline as far as we know. That's what we've been told, from Lucasfilm. So after not being present in Investor Day presentation at all, which featured tons of Star Wars, I thought this was for sure dead, but here we are, and Rian Johnson has still got this thing in the works. Are you excited about this?
I am. I feel like Rian Johnson was dealt a bad hand.
Yes.
Even though people just destroy The Last Jedi, I think that it wasn't all up to him, and the things that he wanted to shape and create, he didn't get his full creative freedom. So I'll leave it at that. We've talked about it in great detail, but this is going to be a great opportunity for him to say, hey, listen, I'm a great filmmaker. Watch my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He is a great filmmaker. He's made tons of good stuff. And I think, yeah, I mean, the sequels, they played an interesting hand, and I would say that it backfired. They decided to go give 3 directors complete creative freedom over 3 movies that needed to be very well in sync with one another. And JJ and Rian were not on the same page. Colin Trevorrow ended up getting the boot because of that, because they were like, oh crap, we got to rein this in. We need to get JJ here. And JJ tried to undo everything that Rian did. So it's just ended up becoming quite a mess, which is unfortunate because the first 2 movies were somewhat connected, going different directions, but were leading to a good place that I think Colin Trevorrow could have gotten us to. But, who knows? It's all what ifs at this point. And I'm glad that Rian Johnson is getting another shot because I think he is someone who loves Star Wars deeply and is probably really hurt that a bunch of fans trashed his project. So I'm ready for the Rian Johnson redemption tour. I'm all here for it.
Can we make shirts? The Rian Johnson
redemption
tour.
We totally should.
And wear it to the theater.
Actually, this author, Soraya Wilson, was wearing, whenever she interviewed him, she was wearing a shirt that said Ben Solo deserved better. And I loved that so much. I was like, yes, dude, yes.
Awesome.
Okay, next one. And this one, I don't know what we'll have to say, but basically Martin Scorsese published a piece in Harper's Magazine that was basically an essay celebrating Federico Fellini as a filmmaker and celebrating the career of Federico Fellini. But it also turned into the state of film is not in a good place, and film has been devalued to content, and everything's served up to you by an algorithm. And so it just is not, there's film and then there's content is basically what he's saying. So really this story is I know it's old man shakes fist at clouds type of story. We shouldn't be surprised by it, but anytime somebody like Marty speaks up, and I say Marty like we're best friends, but anyway, anytime he speaks up, it's something you listen to. Do you agree that streaming and the algorithms that just serve you up things that you like has devalued the art of film?
Say it again. There was so many big words in there.
Okay, all right. Let's reload. I love how you just blankly stared at me for 10 seconds. I was like, oh, I must be frozen. I don't know what's going on. Instead, you were just like, nope, didn't get that.
I was thinking, I went off because I was like, oh yeah, well, what did Federico Fellini make? What have I seen anything by him? I don't think I have.
Yeah,
and then I started thinking of Marty, and I thought Martin Scorsese. I thought SNL, someone was him on SNL in the last weekend on Weekend Update.
Wow.
I thought about Martin Scorsese as Bernie Sanders and the Bernie Sanders meme.
Yep. Wow. I really lost you there.
I was far away.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We're back. Okay.
So tell me, Cam, what did Martin say in this interview?
He said that basically that streaming and looking at film as content and serving it up to people using an algorithm is devaluing film, because now it's not people enjoy a piece of art and then they're like, oh man, I want to test out some other art and see what I like and see what my taste is. Now it's just you watch this, here's what you should watch next. And people are just click, and they just kind of go down the rabbit hole. He's saying that is basically a threat to film, that I'm paraphrasing all of this, but that it's devalued it and turned it into something that is not an art form. So your take on that.
Perfect. I would say maybe there are some really just like backseat content watchers, because when I see like the suggested, oh, you'll like this, I take it as an insult. I'm like, no, I will not watch Dear John with Miley Cyrus just because I watched the map of tiny perfect things on Amazon Prime. No, I will not.
Right.
They're very different movies, very different pieces of different stories, indeed. So I think that his perspective on it, much like it usually is, though I love him as a filmmaker, I think his perspective on it is unfortunately skewed. I mean, how old is Marty at this age?
He's up
let's
there.
Take a look. I just typed in Marty Scorsese instead of Martin Scorsese. Like IMDb is going to like relay that
They're
to
like,
me.
Marty, baby.
Okay, he's not that old. He was born in 42. I mean, there are older people out there, obviously.
So what, he's almost 80.
Yeah, 79. He's 79 this year in November. So I think he's playing his old man card too much recently. And
well, I mean, I do think it's funny that every time Martin Scorsese says something controversial about modern things, people are like, whoa, Martin Scorsese's going wild. I'm like, dude, it's like I said before, it's old man shakes fist at cloud. Like, why are we surprised by this? Like, why are we surprised that Martin Scorsese doesn't like the MCU movies? None of us should be floored by that. Like, that is, like, I could have guessed that. And the fact that I know he released a movie to Netflix, but the fact that he like doesn't like that movies are called content and doesn't like streaming, like that is not at all surprising to me. And I mean, I guess here's my take. There have always been bad films since back whenever it was a new art form to now. There have always been bad films. The difference now is the volume. So there is such a demand for content or films or whatever that there are much more. And so by the law of averages, there are more crappy movies, but there are still plenty of movies that are, I would consider art, that I would consider things that should be, listed up there with some of the great films of all time. I think even on this podcast, we've reviewed some movies that fall in that category. So, yeah, I think this is a non-story, but it is worth kind of getting our take on.
It's as if Martin Scorsese thinks that there's no other option. It's as if he's at home playing Netflix, watching whatever, and then all of a sudden he says, well, I guess I have to watch one of these.
He's like, Tiger King.
He can't find the X. Like when you're previewing a movie and it comes up there, he's like,
Yeah, I actually love that visual. It's probably true. He's probably like, oh no, what are they serving me now? I have to watch Bridgerton now? No. So yeah, anyway, that's Martin Scorsese. We'll continue to bring him up at every possible time because we love him and because he's always saying something that gets people angry for whatever reason. Okay, a couple of quick hitters here. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is ending again. It was canceled once. Yeah, I know, right? It was canceled once, and then it got revived, and now it's ending for real skis this time. Jack Black was cast as Claptrap in the new Borderlands movie. So now we've got a movie. I can't. It's got Kate Blanchett. It's got Kevin Hart, and it's got Jack Black playing a robot. I will be first in line. I'm just like, I have to see this. I played the Borderlands game, and Claptrap is a hilarious character. He's like this annoying robot that follows you around and says hilarious stuff all the time. And everybody kind of like hates him, but also loves him in a way, everybody who plays the game. So this is incredible casting. And even though video game movies always suck, this is a must see. Like, this is officially must see.
Yes, it really will be. I did not play Borderlands, but if you need someone to, that's something that they don't have. They don't have humor.
That's true. That is true.
So maybe this will be the trailblazer. Sorry, Tom Holland.
Yeah, maybe this is the secret sauce. You need to throw in Jack Black and Kevin Hart, and then you're there.
In every single video game movie going forward.
Yes. Okay, last one. This is kind of a big one. We're talking lots of video games actually today. HBO is developing a TV series. We've known about this The Last of Us, which is a huge video game by Naughty Dog. It's basically post-apocalyptic zombie type thing. And Pedro Pascal has been cast in the lead role as Joel, and Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones. She was also in, I most recently saw her in His Dark Materials, was cast as Ellie. So Pedro Pascal is getting tons of play these days. And I think it's well deserved on his part.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro Pascal is easily becoming the Linda Cardellini of actors. I mean, Linda Cardellini has been in every major movement of TV and film over the past 40 years.
That's right.
I think Pedro is doing that now. Like he's hitting in every single franchise. Oscar Isaac's doing the same thing, but Pedro is he's so hot right now.
He is dude, he is scorching hot right now. He is the hottest ticket in town.
He's got everything.
He really does.
It's wild.
I think, Linda Cardellini is an interesting thing to bring up too, because it's like, she is like that guy. They do documentaries about these people. They're like, this is the one man who's actually been running America for 40 years. He was in the Ford administration. Then he was in the Bush administration. That's who she is. Because she's never she's sometimes a lead role, but rarely. But she's been in the MCU. She's been in 90s generational comedy. She's been in rom-coms. Every movement of film, like you said, every big social cultural event, Linda Cardellini is present.
Yeah, even voice work. She was in. She did 30-something episodes of Gravity Falls.
Right.
She was in Green Book, Best Picture winner. She's in the MCU. She's Hawkeye's wife, right? She's been in Mad Men. The list goes on. She was stinking. What's her name in Scooby Doo?
Velma. Yeah,
right.
I know, man.
Everything is, and she's great. That's the best part about it. She's really stinking awesome. So
she is great.
One of my all-time favorites. She's in the fantastic Judd Apatow produced Freaks and Geeks, now streaming on Hulu. So that's got to be one of my top favorites.
Yeah, can we talk about this Freaks and Geeks? They keep posting. Hulu keeps posting. Well, Hulu and Nerdist and all these other outlets are Freaks and Geeks now on Hulu with the original soundtrack. I'm like, would it ever have not been on there with the what is the story here? Do you know what's going on there? I'm seriously curious.
I don't, but I have a guess because they had so much music on that show because music was an integral part to the storyline of setting the tone and the era.
Yeah.
So akin to Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek cannot air their theme song, their original "I Don't Wanna Wait."
Oh, seriously?
They cannot because they did not secure the rights to it.
Oh my
to that
gosh.
song. So unless they wanted to pay buku bucks, they have this other just random pseudonym song, if you will.
That sucks.
Just in its place. So yeah, my guess is that Freaks and Geeks was streaming on something else and they couldn't do the music possibly. But they got Styx in episode 1,
Yeah. That's
a big deal.
It's so wild. These are things that I never would have thought of, and they clearly could have never seen streaming platforms coming. So they probably thought because didn't Freaks and Geeks get canceled after one season?
One season.
Yeah. So then they're just well, we're done. I guess we don't need to lock up the rights to these songs. 20 plus years later, it's oh crap.
Judd Apatow's on the phone all day long.
He's this is a living nightmare.
Give me Come Sail Away, please.
And Styx is yeah, sure, whatever. Okay. Anyway, I digress. We've got 2 other trailer reactions. One is hot off the presses. I haven't even checked with you to see if you've seen it, but the first one is Cruella, starring Emma Stone. This is the straight-to Disney Plus movie that is in the same vein of their Maleficent series, where it's a movie about an antagonist and their origin, basically. What's your take on this trailer, Kirk?
I gotta say, man, it looks good. It looks good. I feel like these movies can be so campy. They can be not necessarily money grabs, but just opening a kid's view to the antagonist, what's their life like. It's akin to and I said akin twice in the same podcast, but
what's it akin to, Kirk? Tell me.
it's akin to Elphaba in Wicked, right? Because
Yeah, sure.
we want another backstory. Like, were they always evil start to finish? Did someone send them along the bad path? Well, that's their fault. They made bad choices. They continue to make horrible choices. Cruella is pretty evil, right?
Sure.
So it's in that it's akin to those stories. And I can't wait. I think Emma Stone's gonna just blow it out of the water. It's exciting.
It's interesting.
What?
I think
I love Emma Stone.
I do. I'm not shy about that. I think she's phenomenal. I think she's so great, and I don't think she looks bad in this movie. I just continue to question, and I thought the trailer was fine. I thought it was a good trailer. As far as trailers go, I'm just like, who wants this? I'm dead serious. Like, I'm also like Mr. Disney. Like, I freaking love it. Probably more than the average bear. Like, I love Disney. I always want to go to Disney World. I'm all in. I love it. I watch all the movies. I live for it. So if it's not for me, and it's not for people like me and other Disney like people, like, who is this for? And also, what is the plot of this movie? I can't really tell from the trailer. So I'm like, I know that we're going to get an origin. I know it's going to probably try to be like, oh man, Cruella, like, she's had a rough go. Or it's just like, wow, Cruella's so crazy, I could watch this all day. I don't know. So that's the thing that's holding me back. It's like, these types of movies don't really have any intrinsic value to me. Like, I don't see them immediately go, ooh, I want to see that. So I'm waiting to be sold on it. And I just don't know that we got anything that sold me on it. I mean, I will watch it because we do a movie podcast, but I'm just like, who is this for?
Well, clearly me, because
I guess that answers the question. I mean, lots of people said the trailer looked good, and I agree. I think the trailer looked good, but I don't really know why. Like, I think I just was expecting it to look second rate and crappy, and it didn't. So I was like, plus, but right. I still don't know what this movie is or like why I would want to watch it.
Yeah, the only way this can be successful, and that's a lie because there's 100 different roads for its success, but I feel like it could be successful if it has like super quirky core values. So like, I think like Wes Anderson quirky, like storylines that are as quirky as Wes Anderson movies to like kick this movie off, because it looks like evil. It looks like, yeah, it's like, dark. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So I think the only way you balance that out is to create a world that's absolutely absurd to combat that. So yeah,
I like that theory. We'll see. It won't be long now. I think it comes out in May or something like that. April, May, sure. Somewhere in that window. So that'll be on Disney Plus for anyone who is interested. And I will also reluctantly watch it, even though I'm not currently interested. So there we go. Okay, the other trailer I was talking about that's hot off the presses is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat. Have you seen the trailer yet?
I've not.
Bro, let me just say this. We'll just do this as a quick hit. It looks good. I don't know how or why, but it does. Like, it looks like a good video game action movie. Like, they understood what needed to happen. And they're like, let's just do it. Let's not overcomplicate it. It's Mortal Kombat. And like, the effects looked good. The fight, like, at one point in the trailer, Sub-Zero like makes an ice sword, and then he like turns somebody's blood into like a dagger out of ice, and it looks sick. And I'm like, this could work. This could honestly work. So the cast is a bunch of no names, as I feel like it should be with something like this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I would say I am kind of excited for it, actually. I actually kind of am.
How the turntables have turned.
I know. I never expected it. I turned it on for a little bit of Schadenfreude today. I was like, let's see how this sucky trailer looks. And then I was like, yo, I would watch that. And it's coming to HBO Max, I think like April 16th or something like that. So, yes, Mortal Kombat. Also, it was a Red Band trailer, and it was super violent. So I was like, ooh, yes, I'm violence, now. Right? Okay, that's it for What's Poppin'. Let's pop it up one last time. There's a popcorn sign. All right, Kirk, You've got a game.
I do have a game.
I'm nervous.
Ready? I know you should be. You absolutely should be.
I'm always nervous.
So what's really funny is this week on the social medias is that you posted something about quotes.
I did.
Unbeknownst to you, my dear friend, I had a game prepped and ready about quotes as well.
All right.
And no, I'm not going to talk like this the rest of this game.
You sometimes turn Cockney. It's really interesting. Or is that Cockney? What is that?
I don't know. I'm going to defer to my wife, who is very good at dialects, and usually I turn this into Indian after I talk too much, and I end up talking like this, and then at the end, and I just run it off, and then I end my accent like this.
All right. Well, there we go.
So this game is called Quotables.
Quotables.
Yes. So I'm going to say a quote, and you must tell me the movie it is from. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah, because I posted the thing that was trending on the Twitters.
Yes, so we were supposed to record days ago, and we had some crazy glitches. Thanks, Skype. I know it was
thanks a lot, Skype.
But please sponsor us and give us money. We would appreciate that.
Oh, stop pandering. They'll never do it, and we have already staked our claim against them.
One day. You never know. Never burn any bridges. My hand is open. Skype. Take it.
Or put money in it.
I'm going to tell you a quote. It may be very popular. It may be not as popular. Maybe you've seen this movie, but you can't quite remember. I didn't want to pick anything where there was just like dead air. So it's just supposed to be fun. Are you ready, Cam?
I am. I was born ready for this.
Do we have any music we can play underneath us?
Yeah, we can play some music. Hold on one second.
Okay, find something jazzy.
Here we go. Ready? It's not jazzy. It's funkadelic.
That's perfect. All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can now.
Here we go. The first quote. You had me at hello.
Oh, that's from Jerry Maguire.
Ding, 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 ding,
Love
ding,
Jerry
ding.
Maguire.
Bravo. I haven't seen the movie in quite a while, but man.
I watched it recently. It holds up. It's so good.
And there's like 100 different big quotes in that movie.
There are.
So had to pick that one. Next one up. If you build it, he will come.
Field of Dreams.
That is correct.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Very nice.
Killing it.
Here we go. Here's one for the people out there who love this movie. I don't want to give you any hints.
I love how you just almost told me what movie it was. Like you were like this close.
I did. I was. I'm just one stomach flew away from my goal weight.
Just one stomach flew away from my goal weight.
One stomach flew away.
Mean Girls.
Ooh, that is close.
Oh.
Incorrect.
What is it?
To take a second guess?
No.
It is from The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, I've never seen it. No, I've never seen it. That's one of those that's on my list of like you'd be shocked that I've never seen that movie. That's one of them.
Aubrey, my wife, watches it pretty much every week. It comes on and she's like, perfect, I'm working. I'm going to just
see, here's the thing though. I grew up with her and this movie came out when we were living in the same home. So if she's seen it enough times to where she's like, yes, let me turn it on. Why have I not seen it? Because I tell you what, I've seen everything else that she's seen 1,000 times.
Right. I don't know. It's very odd.
It's messed up. It's really messed up.
Here's the next one. They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Oh, I know this.
I've talked about it many times before in my Film is Lit class.
Yes.
Shout out Mr. Rogers. Lots of mise-en-scène in this movie.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Is it Some Like It Hot?
You have the right idea with temperature, but it is not that movie. It's another movie with temperature in it. Not hot, but it's heat.
Heat? Is it just the heat?
No.
I'm so terrible at this.
It is called In the Heat of the Night.
In the Heat of the Night. That's what I was trying to. Yeah, what did I say? I said Some Like It Hot.
Oh, you said so? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. In the Heat of the Night.
Yep, that's okay. That's okay. I got just 2 more for you. Are you ready?
I am.
This is my favorite one of the day. Sir, one more outburst and I will strangle you with my microphone wire. You understand me?
Oh, The Wedding Singer.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, Adam Sandler.
Very nice. Very nice. And our final one for Quotables today. But the most important rule, the rule you can never forget, no matter how much he cries, no matter how much he begs, never feed him after midnight.
Gremlins.
That is correct. And fun fact, there is a prequel in development for Gremlins.
For Gremlins?
For Gremlins. Yeah, it's got, the cast is stacking up. I can't remember anyone who's in it, but I know that they've got like 10 people, 10 big hitters lined up. So
who asked for this? Who asked for this? I have to. I continue to ask this question. Who wanted the Gremlins prequel? What focus group did they pull together where they were like, hey, you know what would be awesome? A Gremlins prequel.
I need to know the origin of the Magui.
Oh, man. Well, I'll see it. I mean, sold. You got me. All right. That was a fun game. Thank you for that. That was a fun Twitter trend, actually. I saw a bunch of them. I think it's hard. It's kind of like the game that you picked. Like, you want people to know the quotes that you pick. And so, like, the Twitter trend was, for those of you who didn't see it, there was a picture of a sign that said, name a line from a movie a random line from a movie that people who are big fans would know immediately what movie you're talking about. And so it's like, you kind of want to name an obscure line from a movie, but you also like want people to know what you're talking about. Otherwise it's not fun. So that's like, it's like when we play games and they're too hard and then it's not fun for anybody. So
correct.
That's the same thing. I had a good one from Raising Arizona. I love Raising Arizona. I had to use the Raising Arizona quote in the post. So that's a classic. All right, let's move on to our movie review. Are you ready? Do you have your critic cap on?
Oh, hello. Yes. Let me get it on. Here it is.
It's your robe hood. Classic.
I'm glad
Love
you
it.
asked.
All right. I am synopsing this week, and I will be leading us off in superlatives too. The movie we're reviewing, as I said at the outset, is a film called Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, Jesse Plemons, I just love Dominique Fishback, Martin Sheen, etc. There are more people, but I am not remembering all of them right now. Directed by Shaka King, like I said, and it is available on HBO Max for the next 3 more weeks. I think you got 3 more weeks after tomorrow. It's also available in theaters, so if you are able to go to theaters, go support your local theater. It'd be awesome to do. This movie is about the Black Panther Party in the 1970s, right?
I think late 60s.
Late 60s, 70s.
68, maybe. I'll look it up.
I mean, MLK was already dead by the time it started, so maybe really late 60s. Oh wait, but MLK died in the early 60s. But Malcolm X was already dead by this. So maybe it was
68 and 69.
Okay, late 60s, you're right. And it revolves around a really interesting historical situation that I don't think a ton of people know about. If you know about it, you might know about it from actually the trial of the Chicago 7 references it. When Bobby Seale is on trial, he talks about how Fred Hampton was murdered. So that's what this movie is about. Daniel Kaluuya plays Fred Hampton, who's the deputy chairman of the Chicago Black Panther Party. And William O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield, is an FBI informant who infiltrates the Black Panther Party. And basically this all leads up to that. So anything else I need to add there, Kirk?
No, that's good. This one's tricky. We do spoiler-free excuse me. We do spoiler-free reviews for our listeners, and this is historical. So
yeah,
if you're interested enough, you should educate yourself. I felt quite educated by seeing the movie, and I wanted to read more about it. So we won't go too crazy into it, but yeah.
Did I already give it away
on it? What?
Did I already say what happens?
No.
Okay,
not at all.
I was like, oh crap, did I already say what happens? Okay, good. So yeah, if you don't know what happens, we will not spoil it for you, but we'll leave it at that. And if you do know what happens, then great. Congratulations. Okay, let's jump into our superlatives. The first one we always do is the Oscar goes to. This award goes to the best actor in the film. This week, I'm giving mine to Mr. Daniel Kaluuya, who played Fred Hampton. Holy smokes. This is a good old-fashioned smash mouth acting performance, as I like to call it. Like, we do a lot of these like understated, nuanced, very artsy, very character-driven performances. This is old school. This is, give me a character, I'm gonna do it loud. I'm gonna learn how to talk like them. I'm going to walk like them. I'm going to turn into this character, and I'm going to deliver a powerful performance. This performance wasn't sneaking by anybody. This was a loud, boisterous performance, and it was excellent. I thought Daniel Kaluuya was incredible. If you go and you watch clips of Fred Hampton, who is an amazing orator, if you watch him talk, it's insane. He looked like him. He carried himself like him. His speech pattern, which was Fred Hampton's speech pattern, it's a lot like a lot of these, famous orators from back then. It's very specific. It's very unique. I think about Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, like they all had a very specific way of speaking. Even like JFK, people from back in the day, like that was a way that they distinguished themselves. And Fred Hampton was no different. And I thought that Daniel Kaluuya just did an incredible job. I mean, just absolutely incredible. And he's an Oscar nominee in my book for this performance, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won, to be honest.
Yep. Easy choice for me, Daniel Kaluuya. Easy, easy, easy. This performance, like you said, was just bold. He didn't care. He didn't take a misstep. There was no hesitation in it at all. It was just concise. It was he stepped right into the role the moment you saw him on screen. There was no warming up. He was just there. So I don't know what Daniel Kaluuya's prep is, if he's someone who has to be in character all the time, or if he was just focused, laser focused. Directors do some cool things sometimes too, where and I this is totally just a guess, but sometimes they'll run the film and they'll say, just like live in the space. So I wonder if Shaka King did a little bit of something like that too, because he was just ready from every moment. There wasn't any again, like I said, hesitation. So it reminds me, his performance is, what's the word I'm looking for? Akin to that of The Last King of Scotland.
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker, who won his best actor for that. So I would be super pumped if we got something like that for this too. So shout out Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, good call. Really just a great performance. Just, like I said, traditional, old-fashioned good performance. Nothing that's going to go over your head. You're just going to watch it and be amazed. And sometimes that's nice too. When you don't have to catch in on the nuances and the micro expressions and everything. It's just good old-fashioned acting in its purest form. Scene stealer. This is the performance that sort of might have been nuanced, might have taken our breath away, might have been short-lived. There's a number of different things here, but something that really caught your eye, for me, it's Lakeith Stanfield. And I think I'll actually get into it in Showstopper as well, but I think the character of Bill O'Neill is really well done, and the way that they use the character to drive home the themes of the movie is excellent. I'll get into more of that later, but it's all made possible by Lakeith Stanfield, who does deliver a little bit more nuanced performance, who does things with great intention. He gives a really honest performance, and this is a guy who has been on our radar recently, who's had a lot of really good performances. Including Get Out, including Knives Out, any movie that ends with the word out, he's there. So I really appreciate what Lakeith Stanfield is doing in the industry right now, and I thought this was an excellent performance. He was really in his element. And in a lot of ways, he's the main character of the movie, I think. I mean, Daniel Kaluuya is the one who draws your eyes, but I think this is really the Bill O'Neill story, if you're asking me. So what he enables them to tell from a storytelling perspective is powerful, and it's all because of his incredible acting.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about this. So when this film goes up for awards season, it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya is going to be up for Best Supporting. He won't be up for Best Actor. That's just clear because of the way the script is written. I see it as because Lakeith Stanfield, who is also my scene stealer, he's definitely going to be nominated. If he is nominated, I hope he is. He'd be nominated for Best Actor. He does some fantastic stuff in this role. When he comes out the gate, he's obviously a very different person than Fred Hampton. And we see him first, and it's unlike anything Lakeith Stanfield has done. And if you've been watching his filmography and keeping up with it, it's very, in a way, boring is the wrong word, but he plays a very boring person who is just on the wrong side of the tracks to start with. And you're like, what a weird acting choice from Lakeith Stanfield. But it's really not, because then you get to see it progress into something really incredible for when he dives into the FBI informant role and what that progresses to, and this dichotomy of being an FBI informant and being part of the Black Panther Party. It's just fascinating. I just think that he's on his way up and up. Every single performance, he raises his game. 100%.
100% he is. I mean, I think he's young. He's done some incredible things so far. This performance was great. It was highly nuanced. Like I was just talking about, the opposite with Daniel Kaluuya, even though his performance was still nuanced. But I'm just saying, like, this was that more understated performance. This was that thing that took a lot of like little micro different tendencies and things like that to drive it home. And Lakeith Stanfield did such a great job. So that brings us to Showstopper. I am kind of cheating here. I have like 3 things. Is that okay?
What?
I have 3 things that caught my eye. So I'm going to say all of them, whether you want me to or not, actually. So, the first thing was, man, how do I even quantify this? I put cinematography, but cinematography is not the right word. It's really creating an aesthetic through every aspect of the film, from the production design to the shots to the lighting, all of it. Creating a consistent aesthetic. It's one of the hardest things to do, I think, in movies. If it's done well, you almost don't notice it. If it's done bad, you do notice it. Where like you have one scene that's one texture, and then another scene is a way different texture, and you're like, that's weird. This doesn't even feel like the same movie. It happens a lot, and that's because it's really hard to create a consistent aesthetic in film, because it has to be every facet of the movie working together in sync and like synchronization. So for this, the cinematography, the lighting, the production design, everything was working together. There were some really crafty shots in this movie, and I thought it created an awesome aesthetic. I thought it created a great period piece, because that's what this is, even though it wasn't too terribly long ago. It is still a period piece. So that was really interesting. Another thing that I liked that was really an interesting choice was Martin Sheen as J. Edgar Hoover. His scenes were really reminiscent of, like, I think about films in like the 40s and 50s that had Adolf Hitler in them, and he was always like in this surreal environment where he, like, everything was dark and they were illuminated, and it's just like this weird like dreamscape type thing. I think that was the effect they were trying to do. It was a little bit they were trying to flip convention on its head. They're like, you need to see J. Edgar Hoover as the bad guy here, and they were using some of those old tactics to do so. I thought that was a really interesting choice, and I thought it was done really, really well. And there's only like 3 or 4 of these scenes, but it was really good. And then finally, I alluded to it when we were talking about Lakeith Stanfield. The character arc of Bill O'Neill is really effective and ends up being, from the first beat to the Chiron text at the end of the movie, you're like, whoa, and you get a way deeper understanding. Painting Bill O'Neill as like this sympathetic character, actually, by the end of it. You're like, oh, I kind of get what's going on here. It's about belonging, and belonging at all cost because you have nothing. And it tells a really interesting story about the plight of black people in America. It tells a really interesting story about Bill O'Neill as a person in general. It's just really well done and deep. And by the end of it, you're just like, wow, that was incredibly impactful. So I think it's three things. I was supposed to pick one showstopper, but all three of those were so good that I had to mention them.
Excellent. I do not have three things, so
that's all right. You're playing by the rules.
I don't always. My showstopper is Jared Leto. No.
Oh gosh. Oh, gosh.
He just seeps in to every single. No, he's not in this movie. You guys can watch it. It's all
safe.
Good.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. I did pick cinematography because I think that everything you described, it really is cinematography, the aesthetics and making it picture perfect. The camera work specifically within the production design is in the storytelling within that. It's all inclusive. It's all the same thing.
Yeah,
it's all the same thing. It's all relative. I think that I've never heard of Shaka King before. I don't know of his other films, and I want to watch them now because
he hasn't done much. This is really the first huge project.
Yeah, which is great. I see big things in the future. I see him landing several deals after this because however he was able to collaborate with his entire team as a director, it paid off because there are definitely moments where that the director had his hand in that heavily, and there are other moments where that he was the guiding light in it, that that this was the makeup artist here and this was the set designer here, but the director pulls it all together. And the cinematography for that, specifically the opening scene, is one of the most creative
dude.
Just introductions to a character I've seen in recent history, and I loved it. So and maybe that's even more specific. The opening scene, just introducing Lakeith Stanfield's character, is just so fascinating, and just kudos to them.
Yeah, that it's really good. It's really well done, and I think the thing is with based on a true story type of movies, something I meant to mention on the Bill O'Neill side, but it's worth stating, like, it is easy, I think, to not phone it in, but it's easy to like take certain aspects of the film for granted because what you're really trying to tell is the story, the historical story, and so you focus all your attention on that, and that story's already written. It's been written by history. You just have to craft it. So you see that from time to time where you get these based on a true story movies where the story is great. Obviously, they're making a movie out of it. That's why it's good, but the actual execution isn't there, and that is not the case with this movie. Definitely not. Good call-outs all around. Let's move on to director's shoes. The one thing I would just change, and I apologize, I don't have anything tangible to go off of here, but the pacing in the back half of the movie just sort of lost me a little bit. I felt like at a time in the back half where I was supposed to be more engaged, I felt less engaged. It ends up, the way that it ends, it has a great resolution and a really good ending, so it makes up for it there. But I would say, like, I don't even want to call it the back half. Like, the back third of the movie, I was like, okay, I feel like we're lingering on some things here. I feel like the pacing isn't where it should be. I feel like the tension isn't where it should be. And so in some cases, I was like left wanting there a little bit, but I feel like it's nitpicky. And but I do feel like it's the thing that held it back from me giving it a much higher score than I could have, because I just wanted it to be solid all the way through to the end, and I felt like it lost a little bit of momentum towards the end.
Great. We can agree on one thing, Cameron, is that the middle was really good, because I actually found the beginning struggled past that opening attention getter scene with, again, some of the best, one of the best introductions to a character. I didn't feel like the storyline really painted the picture for us to accept like what the title of this movie was and what the characters were doing and where we were going. And I want to be surprised in a movie. That's my favorite thing, where you pull the rug out from underneath me in a movie. But I don't see where it connected at the beginning. It was very very fluid at the end there for me. I actually liked the progression from the middle to the end better than I did the beginning to the middle. So a little bit different there.
Yeah, sure.
Salty.
No, that's good. It's good. Different opinions are good. I appreciate it. We're oftentimes way too similar on this show, so I'm like, yes, disagree with me. Okay, let's do overall thoughts and scores. For me, I think this is a great movie. I think it's going to be. I mean, I have it shortlisted for Oscar Best Picture nomination at the moment, based on everything that I've seen, which leaves out a couple of films, but not too many. I think it'll be there. I think it was really good. I think it was really close to being like excellent. I think it was still very, very good. I think the acting performances were stellar. Again, I think the camera work, the production design, the lighting, all of it as a total film body of work was really solid. Just a few things that could have been cleaned up. So for me, it's an 8.9 out of 10. I've been kind of hovering around those low nines. It's like waiting for a movie this year to really take my breath away. This one was close, but it left me wanting just a little bit. So it's an 8.9 out of 10. I still think it's one of the best movies for this award cycle, and I would be, first of all, I'm surprised that it wasn't nominated for Best Picture at the Golden Globes, and I'd be shocked if it wasn't nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest reasons I love the trend of based on a true story is because I don't read. I can't. Let's make that clear.
Yes, you are able to read. Yeah, sure.
I am literate, but I have difficulty staying on task if I have to read like a book or an article longer than 5 minutes. So take that with it as you may, but I love film to be able to give me the education that I need. I need it, ladies and gentlemen. So what I love in this movie is that it's very historically accurate. I did some fact checking, and it was very, very wonderful themes, very good message, very clear message, and very complicated message at that too. I loved how unique of a story this is. I feel like in this era, more and more of what I'm understanding as I'm seeing film and TV uncover historical events is that things were 100% sugar-coated or just pushed down so that we wouldn't see all of the really horribleness. And now, probably because of social media, it's all out there.
Yeah.
Whatever, anything goes. So the veil is being torn back, the curtain's being pulled, and we're seeing the man behind the curtain. This movie, fantastic. Very similar score to you. I'm going 8.6 out of 10 kernels.
Great. Good score. I agree. I think it's interesting. I tend to be like, I mean, it's easy to do this in the age of like pandemics and social unrest and all this stuff, like, injustice and everything that we're seeing, to be like, oh man, this is the worst time in history. Like, is the world ending? What's happening? And then you go back and watch stuff from the 60s and 70s and you're like, holy crap. Like, there's always been bad stuff. We still have an onus on us to get through it and to better ourselves every day. But it's actually somewhat comforting to know that we've like actually come a long way since then, but there are still things to be learned from the past. So it is good. I've enjoyed all especially like the late 60s stuff that's been coming out with One Night in Miami, The Trial of the Chicago 7. I feel like I took a class on the Black Panther Party and on, another class on like the whole civil rights movement again this year, which is good. So,
right.
It's very interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how all these movies that are like pretty similar end up stacking up at the big award shows towards the end of the year. So,
indeed.
Well, we're talking about movies that are based on a true story, and so we thought that would be a good time to do a schoolyard pick of films that are based on a true story. Kirk, I think you even threw out the prompt on social the other day of like, what is your favorite movie that's based on a historical event? So we're going to dig into that right now. And because I went first on synopsis and superlatives, you get to go first here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I just have to follow the rules. If I could go first every time, I would, but I can't.
Oh, I see. Selfish.
Indeed.
I have to pick one of my all-time favorite movies. I could watch this over and over and over again on replay. When they say, like, if you were stuck on an island, what movie would you watch over and over again? Or if you're being tortured, Catch Me If You Can.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Easy choice for me. Based on a true story. Blew my mind. That was one of the first movies that I understood was based on a true story. The time that it came out and the age I was. And it's absolutely fascinating. The counterfeiter that he turns out to be a big top informant, real informant, and actually works for the federal government in catching people just like him, how he betrayed the country for so many years. So Mr. Frank Abagnale Jr. So very fascinating. And again, it's Leo. What can I say?
Right.
It's Leo.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And like one that sort of breaks the mold of based on a true story movies, I think. Like it's a little bit unconventional for a based on a true story movie. And I kind of like that. I feel like a lot of my picks are things that are like outside of the typical mold. So that's good. This is hard to decide what to pick first because I kind of want to focus on things that I think you might pick.
Is your list like 20 films long?
It's very long. And I didn't rank them. I just kind of listed them all out off the top of my head. I'm going to go Apollo 13. I love Apollo 13. I think it's just it's one of the first, honestly, one of the first movies I remember seeing and feeling like an adult. I was like, I enjoyed this movie. It was not like a cartoon action whatever movie. Like it wasn't superheroes or something. Like it was about history. It was about going to space, going to the moon. Like I was intrigued by that. Obviously, Tom Hanks is incredible in that movie. An incredible cast all around. Bill Pullman, Kevin Bacon, right? Is that?
That's right.
No. Is that Bill Pullman?
Paxton.
Gosh, dang it! I always get those two. It's the Bill P's. I get them switched around. But that movie also has an incredible finish to it, and it's just like one of those edge of your seat movies. I loved it.
I love how you said you sounded like Ron Swanson. I enjoyed this movie. I can imagine, you're like 13, you're watching it for the first time, and that's how you end it. I want to end every movie like that. I enjoyed this movie.
Another, like Thor.
Beautiful. Well, let's keep up the trend of Tom Hanks
in
films because he's in Catch Me If You Can. He's in Apollo 13, and he's in my next pick, Captain Phillips.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let's go. Captain Phillips, dude, I had no idea how anxiety-inducing this film was going to be. Myself and my wife, Aubrey, we went to see this movie. She was probably 8 months pregnant, and I thought 100% that it was going to send her into early labor because...
Surprised it didn't.
This movie, if you saw it in theaters, I mean, no one... The amount of, of tension people in the room were feeling, like no one was breathing, and then everyone was sobbing at a certain point in the movie because they were just relieved or terrified even more. So this movie has just absolutely an incredible build, and I can't believe it's real. If you haven't seen Captain Phillips, stop and go watch it right now.
It is a remarkable movie. I did see it in theaters, and I had a similar experience. It is a crazy movie to see in theaters. It is it is just really intense. It is really intense. And actually it's like almost more intense after he gets rescued than like during the whole thing. Like I don't even know how to explain it. You're like so overcome with emotion.
I think it really is a nod to the filmmaker because you don't even realize it. I started like laughing out of joy when he was rescued, and then I was like, like every emotion possible was just rushing through my body at the end of that movie. So because it was all kept up, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude, good pick. I'm going to go with a pick that also for the theater experience factor, Steve McQueen's 12 Years a Slave. Man, this movie in theaters was quite an experience. People like, I don't remember. Honestly, it's the most emotional audience I've sat in outside of The Passion of the Christ. Like, that's like dead serious. People were openly sobbing, like gasping at times. Chiwetel Ejiofor, just like incredible performance. Really put him on the map, I think, in terms of his acting career. And we all know what he's capable of now, but that was my first real experience with him as an actor and just being like, whoa. An incredibly powerful movie and one that I will never forget. It's like, I feel like people don't talk about that movie very much, but it was like very, very deserving of winning Best Picture, and it was an incredibly well done movie.
Excellent. It really was, really was. My next movie, because I don't want you to take this from me, but I also don't know if it's on your list. I've got to go. I'm the mafia guy here. I got to pick Goodfellas.
It was on my list, you dirty dog. I knew you were going to pick it, though.
I had to. I almost let it slide one more, but I just don't trust you, so I had to put it out there. Yeah, dude, Goodfellas. I watched this movie because I just wanted to get into Marty Scorsese's filmography, and I think I watched it right after I had seen The Departed for the first time, and it blew my mind. And then I found out that it was based on a true story, and that is what spiraled me into watching every mafia movie that I can get my hands on. If you don't know the story, it's based off a biographical book based on the real account of Henry Hill from the Lucchese crime family before he became an FBI informant. And this movie, it's a masterpiece. It's absolutely a masterpiece. The fact that it's real, when you look at it, it should be fiction, but it's not. And that's mind-boggling. Yeah,
truly. I was surprised. Like, I watched Goodfellas not that long ago for the first time because I don't know, like when those movies are older and you're young, like growing up, like you have to find time to watch Goodfellas. It's not like, it's obviously a generational movie, but if you weren't like of age at the time that it came out, like you have to kind of like make time for movies like that. But it seriously is mind blowing. Really, really good one. Okay. Oh man, this is so hard.
Yes. Is there another Tom Hanks movie you'd like to pick?
Not at this moment. I am going to go with A Beautiful Mind. Russell Crowe. I think it's good. I think people knew about John Nash at the time of A Beautiful Mind, but I don't think he was like widely known. So I think the twist, if you will, in this movie, which is something that you don't often get to pull off in a based on a true story movie, remained well intact and is really effective. And it's another Best Picture award winner, very much deserving of it. Really good performances all around in that movie. And they just turned a really interesting, like, biographical piece into a really gripping movie, whether it was based on true story or not. So it's really well done.
Excellent. I'm mad at you, but excellent choice. Oh dear. What have we got left on the books here? Okay, I've got 2 left.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go Aaron Brockovich.
Good one.
Shout out Julia Roberts. I expected not to like this movie only because this is a movie I was way too young when it first came out, obviously. And all I heard from the living room, my parents were in the family room and they were watching it for like the 3rd time as it was playing on HBO Live because there was no TiVo. I just heard like, F this, F that. I'm like, what kind of movie is that? Parents, how dare you? And so I recently watched it probably in 2019, I want to say, and was floored, absolutely floored by the true story, by the performances. It is just, you must see this movie before you die. That's what this is.
It's a bucket lister.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good pick. Well, Well, I feel like I've included this on like multiple Schoolyard picks, but it would be untrue to my personal brand if I didn't pick it. So I'm going with Moneyball.
Moneyball.
It's got to be Moneyball. I have not been shy about my love for this movie. I will continue to talk about it all the time. I think, again, as a based on a true story movie, it's a really unique one. Like, it's not your typical sports movie at all. And it's done really well. Brad Pitt's incredible. I just love it. Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, it's just the best. Moneyball.
I knew it. I knew it was coming. Is this my last one?
It is. Last one.
Oh, this is not fair. This is not even like a real accurate score because there's just not enough. I need 15 spaces.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. There will be tons of good movies that are left out.
Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with, this is what really told me that Will Smith needs a Best Actor award, and he's just not received it yet. The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
I mean, again, if you haven't seen that, just stop what you're doing and get out of here, because the film itself is incredible, and I wouldn't even say that it's carried by Will Smith. It's just like such a benefit to like get to see people perform like that. And he was nominated for Best Actor that year, but I think it was a really tough year, and he was just fantastic.
Yes, I love that movie. It's a good one. It doesn't get its due. It's like it does and it doesn't. I feel like people remember it for the Will Smith performance, but that's like it. People act like it's not like a great movie overall. Like, people don't talk about the movie that much. They're just like, hey, remember when Will Smith was in Pursuit of Happiness and it was awesome? I think that movie really is very, very good. So, good pick.
Thank you.
My last one. I'm kind of waffling here. I'm waffling. I'll go with one that just like personally I really, really love. The Fighter. David O. Russell. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Christian Bale. This movie is awesome. It's an untold sports kind of movie. It's something that I don't think many people know about. Really, really, like, they certainly didn't know about it before this movie, but it's a great story and a really well-made movie. Amy Adams is in this movie. She's fantastic. Christian Bale won Best Supporting Actor for this movie for an unreal performance. I mean, he's always good, but this performance is crazy good. And it's just so entertaining. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I've watched this movie a billion times. I seriously have. Like, after it came out and I saw it, I bought the Blu-ray digital copy and I've watched it countless times. I'll still turn it on now and again. So it's got to be The Fighter for me just because of the staying power.
Beautiful choice. Let's go. What do you call them?
Honorable mentions? Yeah.
Can't talk today.
Go ahead.
Titanic. I don't know if you can call that one.
Counts.
But,
Counts.
Perfect. The Battle of Jadoville, which was a Netflix original film that came out with Jamie Dornan. It's
I haven't seen that.
Good. Oh, I love it. Seabiscuit. I know I'm going to get flack for that. Richard Jewell, First Man, Schindler's List, Theory of Everything, Social Network, American Sniper, Spotlight, Green Book, Ray, Lincoln, All the President's Men, 127 Hours, Just Mercy, Hacksaw Ridge, Joy, and Remember the Titans.
Okay, I had a lot of those. But I also had My Left Foot. Did you say My Left Foot?
I did not. Good choice.
Zodiac and Argo. So, based on true story movies are awesome if done well. There are plenty that are not done well or are done like okay but could have been much better. But it's a fun subsection of movies. I'm sure we missed tons. Like we talked about, this, like, some of the greatest movies of all time, obviously, are based on a true story. So let us know what we missed. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us that we're dumb and that we picked stupid movies. Like, let us have it. We want to hear it. But otherwise, that's all we've got. Keep an eye out early next week. We've got a new episode of WandaVision dropping on Disney Plus tomorrow. Well, technically today, if you're listening to it, because this episode dropped on Friday. So episode 7 of WandaVision. If you didn't already know, we have a YouTube series called Spilled Popcorn where we are breaking down every single episode in extreme detail. We are giving you recaps, analysis, lots of wild speculation. So if you like the MCU and you like to talk about superhero movies and TV shows, come check out Spilled Popcorn. You can find it on our YouTube channel under Popcorn for Breakfast, or on our website, popcornforbreakfast.com. That's popcorn, the number 4 breakfast.com. Other than that, we will be back again next week with a new movie review. Kirk, I think we're going to get to review Nomadland, which drops on Hulu tomorrow and is the Oscar Best Picture front runner at the moment, according to pretty much everyone. And Kirk is grimacing because he doesn't like Frances McDormand for whatever reason, like a weirdo.
This is what she looks like all the time.
Wow. Rude. Okay. But that's all we've got for you guys. We want to give a special thanks, I almost forgot, as always, to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, and of course, our fabulous original music, which we got to use lots of this episode, is provided by Rhetoric. Check those guys out on Apple Music and Spotify, and we will see you next week.
Talk to you then.